I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, guys. We had a actually really crazy day today, guys. We had this inside day open break into this trend day, guys. The last 2 days have been actually really crazy. I'm going to be breaking it down all for you step by step. So if you're ready, my friends, let's step into the war zone. So first and foremost, who do we have in the building? Let me do my shout outs. Ash, Ernesto, Corlito, Michael, Nithin, Trading Wars Army, Eric, Trading Wars Army, Bernard, Edwin, Trading Wars Army, Produce Chips, Ash, Alan. What's going on? Good to see you guys. Let me go ahead. Let me just retweet this out, guys. Let me just retweet this out. Let everybody know that we're live. So I'm gonna bring this right here. Let's go ahead. Live now. Let's learn and earn. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, do you guys want to start off with the swing trade first or the day trade? Which one do you guys want to start off with? The swing trade or the day trade? Hit me with a 1 for the day trade. Hit me with a 2 for the swing trade. And the theme of tonight I'm going to be talking a little bit about is futures and talking a little bit more about that as a trading tool. All right. And giving you guys that education there. Okay. So what do I see in the building? I see a mixture. I see ones. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's start off with the day trading. So go ahead and hit the replay. The first thing we must do is draw the previous day's high and low, like so. Okay, so here's our high and here's our low. So what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to go ahead and draw also our trigger level. So our trigger level is our line in the sand where we want to go long. So let's go ahead here to the trigger. So trigger trades right here. 388.25 was our line in the sand long. Okay. And I also posted this a little bit earlier today on the Twitter. So here we go. Let's make this in green. So this is our line in the sand where we say, okay, you know what? We want to go long once this line is broken. Okay. And that's going to be important because it's going to play in later. Okay. So the first thing that comes in here, guys, is we open literally in the middle of the range. And normally, guys, when we open in the middle of the range like this, it's a sign that we're going to have some chop. And usually the chop is in the morning. And that's what we had. We had chop in the morning right off the bat. So the first trading opportunity that came up on the day here, guys, was actually on the 3-minute chart. So let me just replay this again. Sorry, I'm on the 5. Let's go back here to the 3. So we had the 3-minute right here. First candle came in, boom, and then bam. We put in this inside bar here, guys. So right off the bat, I gave this one a shot. And the reason is because these inside bars usually give good risk to reward. So I tried to get long on this inside bar once we broke the high. So I'll show you right here. Here's our high to our low. Low to high, sorry, right there. And then I'll show you. Let me just zoom in so you guys can see. So boom, guys. So I got long right here once we broke. We got to a first target on the 272, and then it was just chop, 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 like this, right? So we just started to chop back and forth. And if you look at the bigger picture, you can see clearly that we're in the middle here, right? So what I did instead is once that first trade didn't work out, I just took a step back and said, you know what? I'm gonna wait for this green line to break, because if this is a real rally, if this is real bullish price action, then it's going to break this level and then it's going to break the white line and it's just keep going. Okay. So I just waited for that, guys. And let me just show you my live commentary here. So this is here when we went long on the inside bar. I said, so we got the first target and I said, killing the rest of the position here. I got one target and the rest I took an L. So I had a net small loss on that first trade. But then right here, guys, we came right here, SPY trigger long, and then I shared it again here, 388.25, guys, and that one was money. So let me just show you. So we came back in here doing our thing, right? And look how beautiful this trigger was. So look how beautiful this line in the sand was. And this is what I like to see with the line in the sand strategy is we come to the green line. You notice there's a little bit of a rejection, right? But right after that, guys, we have this V trigger. So what's the V trigger? The V trigger is when we test the level twice. And I love when we test levels. If it's really a level, I want it to test once and twice and slam right through. So it came through here on the second time. Boom. We got a big candle above it here, guys, and started to squeeze, right? So let me just fast forward here. Bam. Beautiful, guys. So this one was the money play on the day. Very, very nice. Return of the trigger. Beautiful, beautiful, simple, simple trade. All right. So those are my two plays off the bat. Hit me with a 2 if that makes sense. Okay. So the Trading Wars Army, brother, that's a YouTube. That's the YouTube army. You can join in the channel. All right. So keep it simple, right? Inside bar didn't really work, but then we got this beautiful green line in the sand trigger. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the fibs now. So there were two primary fibs on today, and we called them both out. So the first one here, guys, we had this morning short. Okay, so you could see that we had this push down, right? We had this push down in the morning. Okay, so if we take that Fibonacci from the high to the low, so you can see the bears tried today with the short. You could see here in the golden zone, they tried to reject it, right? But then the bulls took over. And once the bulls took over, guys, we drew the next leg, which was the bullish leg from the low to the high right here, guys. And it tagged that 50% right there. And that was it. So there was a very, very powerful bullish algo today. The bears tried in the morning. They did try. But once we broke that bear attempt, you could see right here, we try to push down. The bears try to come back in. That failed. The bull just stepped in right here, guys. This algo right there, boom, just took it straight up, guys. And it was pretty difficult after that to catch it unless you played the trigger, which was right here. Okay, because there weren't much pullbacks. So for me on the day, let me go ahead here. I had a nice day here, guys. So these are my gains on the day. Really, really nice. Some of this came from my NQ swing, which I'm about to talk about right now. But there we go, guys. So just to show you where the fibs are. So there we draw the fibs live in real time every single day in the Fibonacci channel, and you can follow along as well. Okay, so those were the day trades. So let's talk a little bit about futures now. All right, hit me with a 7. Are we good with the day trade? Does all make sense? And then we'll start. Then what we'll do here, guys, is we'll start to talk about futures and how that plays into everything. Okay, so pretty much most traders are familiar with SPY, right? Most traders are familiar with options, and options are great tools. Don't get me wrong, they're very, very good tools. But sometimes, especially in environments where option premiums are expensive, they're not always the best tool in terms of risk to reward. And the reason is if the premiums are inflated, you might get a move, and the move will still result in you losing money, even if it's in your direction. And the reason is because they have the Greeks, which have priced in option premiums as well as priced in deltas, gammas, betas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that can really complicate things. I love using options, but I do trade futures heavily. So let's go to the futures. Let's start off with NQ. So we'll talk about this one first. Okay. So we'll start off with the swing trade example. Then we'll look at a day trade example. And I really have some exciting announcements today. I'm going to show you guys in a bit, but let's get through that. Okay. So this is option 1. So really we have 3 main futures that I like to trade. We have the NQ, the ES, and I think it's M2K, or I think it's M2K, which is Russell. I don't always trade the Russell. That's why I don't really know the ticker symbol, but I do use it if I am looking for a hedge. I think it's M2K. Let's see, M2K. Yes, there we go. So there's the Russell. Okay. So the NQ and the ES are futures. What are futures? Futures are the index that is essentially running 24 hours. Okay. So the ES is, so let's go ahead here to the ES. The ES is the S&P 500, and it runs 24 hours. There's a small break in the afternoon, and then it's closed on Friday and opens back on Sunday. So this allows traders to get access to the S&P 500 pretty much all the time, okay? And if we look at the SPY chart, here was the 930 candle. We can go back here and we'll see, go to 930. Here is the same candle as well. So the main difference that you'll notice here, guys, there's a few things. There's always continuous action happening here. So this is the overnight session right here. When you look at SPY, you'll just see a gap, okay? But all of this gap, there's actually price action happening overnight. So you could enter trades overnight. You can enter trades whenever you want. So that's what makes futures very powerful, but also, a little bit dangerous, because you could get yourself into some trouble if you don't know what you're doing, okay? So the way that futures works is on a point system. So for the ES, every single point is $50. So let's go back and look at our entry today, right? So we got in, guys. So let's just say this candle right here, you could see the high of this wick is our trigger line. So we can go back to ES and we can do the same thing here. So we can put our white line as our entry right here on top of the wick of that candle. And what we can do here, let's measure all of the points from that entry. So this is saying the same trigger trade. Okay, so this is the green line was our entry. So let's just say we held it all the way until now. Let's just see how much money we can make. Okay, so that is 53 points. Okay, so I'm going to round down 53 points. So 53 points times $50 is pretty much your gain on one contract. So I'm going to go ahead and get the calculator out, because nobody likes to do math in their head. So that's $2,650 with one contract. There we go. My brother's already ahead of it right here. Produce chips. Okay. So that is usually, this full contract is going to be too big for small accounts, because my rule of thumb is for one contract like this for ES, you would need to maintain a balance of 10,000 at least. Okay. So what you would do instead is you would trade the MES, which is the same thing, but it's divided by 10. So instead of making $50 a point, you're making $5 a point. Okay. So with one contract, somebody do the math again for me. With one contract, if we do 5 points times 53, let's do that again. 5 times 53, $265. Okay. And then my rule of thumb when you're trading micro contracts is to have at least $1,000 to $2,000 of capital in the actual broker, right? So essentially here, guys, the only kind of like catch I would say is that you need to have margin. You need to have margin, because each one of these contracts in reality are worth a lot of money. Okay. So the only way you can trade them is through margin. It's not like options where you can just bag hold something and then just pray that it goes to the moon. With futures, you get cut deeply. If you don't have a stop loss and you hold it, you can get margin called. But at the same time, it gives you so much insane leverage that you can really grow your account quickly. And it doesn't have any decay. It doesn't have any Greek decay. It doesn't have any option premium decay. It doesn't have any time constraints. So it's essentially like trading just a share. It's like, okay, I buy it at $1, sell it at $2. Simple, right? So those are the pros and cons. Okay. So these are insane tools. So I'm going to show you right now how I used it to swing trade. All right. Hit me with a 4 if that makes sense. Does that make sense so far? Yeah. Future is excellent for everything. I'll tell you everything. Scalping, swing, investing. But you need to have a stop loss, because if it goes against you, you will get margin called if you don't have enough capital. Okay. So let's go ahead now to MNQ. So this is the contract that I've been swinging. I've been sharing my journey for a long time here with you guys on this one. But let me talk to you about a basic swing trading strategy, what I use. Okay. So anytime I swing trade futures, it has to line up on the daily chart and weekly chart because whenever I want to do a swing that requires margin and it's not just an option lotto swing, then I need to make sure that I have an A plus trade. It's got to be A plus because I'm putting myself at a lot of risk. Okay. So I talked about this many times, but essentially the reason I got long, so I got long at 11,291. And the reason is because we had this Fibonacci extension. So high to low right here. You could see we rejected on the 618. We came pretty much right on that 50% extension. And what I did is once we got into this zone, because I know the 272 down is an area of a reversal, what I did is I went over to the daily chart. So once I went to the daily chart, I saw this inside bar, this one right here. So that's why I decided to get long, because I was just looking at the chart. We had this bear leg completion. We also lined up with some previous support, and just thinking about it logically, the market was down roughly 30% for the first half of the year. Okay. So all of those things are a good sign for me to say, hey, I'm going to put some money in here and give it a shot. I only bought one contract. Okay. Just one. And my plan is to essentially add some more contracts over time. And if we do eventually get to new all-time highs, each one of those contracts should make me at least 20 to 30,000, maybe more. Okay. So we got in here on the yellow line. I also talked about this in the Discord, and I'll show you how to play this. Okay. So what I like to do is I like to use the Fibonacci as my trailing stop loss. So once I got in here, we had a big run, right? And things were looking good. But because I'm swing trading, I'm looking for a big play, guys. I'm looking for, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand. I'm looking for something maybe I could hold forever, right? So what I do is every fib that comes up, I'd like to trail. So for example, here's my fib, low to high. So you could see right here, guys, we had this 618. And once this one came in, I moved my stop loss to break even. And I haven't touched it since. So what I like to do with futures when you swing it is the sooner you can get to break even on the swing trade, the better you are, right? So here's another one right here. So technically what I could do now is take my stop loss and move it to this swing low here. I'm going to make a decision at the end of the week on how I want to play this, but I will not move it from break even, in the sense that at least the very least I'm going to get out for break even. I'm not going to put it lower, right? Because if it breaks lower, I can just get in again at a lower price. Okay. So an example of this is when I also took M2K. This is the Russell. I went short on this yellow line on M2K. So once I went short, I used this outside bar as my entry. I went short here. And then when we put in this outside bar, I put my stop loss to break even. So this one is no longer active. I'm out, right? So that's the way that I play it, just being very aware that I need to get my stop loss to break even when I can. But initially, you have to take some risk, right? So I was prepared to risk at least $2,000 or $3,000 on this trade, but my upside is 20, 30, 40, 50 grand. So that's why it's a good trade in my eyes. Okay. Does that make sense? Hit me with the 6 if that makes sense. So that's how I use future contracts to swing. But just see how I try to get my stop to break even when I can, because I don't want to take on that much exposure, right? Here's the main downside here. If we go to the weekend and COVID part 7 comes, and then on Sunday at 6 p.m. when futures open, the market gaps down here, there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. There's nothing. But that's just the way swing trading is in general. The only thing that can give you protection if you're doing that are options. because an option can only go to zero if you're doing naked options, right? If you're doing naked calls or puts, they can only go to zero. So that's why I also love swing trading options. But the thing with options is you're probably not going to get as much return as if you were holding an option contract, a futures contract, sorry, because the options need you to, they have a time limit associated with them. Okay. All right. Does that make sense? Hit me with the 10. So basically, just to summarize, right? It's almost like you're using shares on steroids. You have leverage like options, pros and cons, big leverage, big money, big risk, right? That's just how it is. And I really got fascinated with futures when one of my friends told me about it, and I was struggling with options a long time ago. And then I was able to trade futures and then redevelop my option strategies to make sense for options because they're like oranges and apples. They're a little bit different. Okay. And one more thing that's very important here, guys, is taxes. So if you want to do this long term and you get good at it and you start making good money, just think about it like this. Somebody, some group of people, some powerful people decided that if you trade futures, the effective tax rate is going to be cheaper than if you were to make gains on options or shares. So when I heard about that, I was like, okay, so the big boys created a loophole for themselves to get cheaper tax rates. They created futures being a cheaper rate because that's what they like to trade. So that also really inspired me because I was like, okay, I'm going to save money in taxes, but it's like, why are they using this instrument? Why are they doing that? And that really kind of set the fire for me too to get really deep into futures. So did you guys know that? Hit me with a 1 if you knew that fact about the taxes, and hit me with a 2 if you didn't. So I found that really cool. I found that really good. Really, really cool. How long I've been trading futures? Going on to 8 years now that I've been trading futures. I traded futures before they had the micro contract. So with a small account, you have to trade just ES. And if you were wrong, you pretty much blow up your account. But if you were right, if you were right, you would double up your account like in a day. Because with a small account, when you're trading that, it's just literally hit or miss. But because of the micros, now anybody can trade it. Anybody can trade it. Okay. So how much? Like there's not like it's more of, it depends on the broker, right? I think each contract is probably like 100 grand or something. But that's not the way the margin works because it's futures, because it's so liquid. The broker usually gives you like, okay, if you have $1,000, you should be able to trade one micro contract as an example. And you have to just maintain your cash balance throughout the day. The moment though that you swing trade, the margin requirements increase because anytime you do overnight, the margin requirements increase. So back to the day trading perspective now. So what you can do is, instead of taking shares or instead of taking options, you can execute the same trades that we do using futures contracts. And it's really good for strategies like the opening range breakout, where sometimes the option premium is so volatile. If you take an opening range breakout, and even if you're right, you might not make money. So there's futures contracts that have continuous expiry, meaning that they don't expire. And with the futures, right, you roll them, right? You just roll the futures contract. So let's say this contract expires September 30th. So what I like to do is in the overnight session, when the volume is very low, I'll just roll into December, for example. Or you can set your broker to auto roll the futures. So your broker can automatically roll it for you. So it'll sell it and buy it back right at the close on like a Friday. They'll buy the next one. So there's no slippage there. Good for accounts under 25K. Yes, sir. All right. So, guys, I'm really excited for this right now. I want to talk to you about some things that I've been working on with Trendspider. Let's do this, man. I'm excited for this one. Okay, guys, look at all the tools that I have over here, guys. All right. So that was the recap for SPY. Before we go into the stock picks for tomorrow, that was a recap on futures. I hope you learned something about it. Check me out at tradingwars.com. You guys know where I'm at. If you get any one of the 3 books, you get 1 month for free. Come trade with us live tomorrow, guys, for 1 month for free with the books. You get the indicators for life and the scanners. And or you can sign up right here on the main page. Okay, right here on the main page. All right. So I had a call today with Dan from Trendspider, and I showed him the process that we do. And let's go ahead and do this. Okay. So the first thing here is I added this little tool to my widgets right here. Okay. And this, if I go here and I click on the blue raindrop, it'll automatically scan it all for me and give me a watch list like this. So really, really cool right off the bat. So for example, we have American Airlines. This was a blue raindrop. So let me go ahead and just move this over to the daily. And then I'm going to move it over to the raindrops. So very nice, tight raindrop on American Airlines. So I really like how we can just have it as a watch list on the side. So let's go ahead and look at the Holy Grail. Let's see if there's any Holy Grails. Go ahead and scan that right now. Oh man, beautiful. Oh my God. Apple. All right. So let's focus on Apple. Okay. So let's focus on Apple right now. Okay. So check this out. So here we go. So we have Apple with the Trading Wars Holy Grail. Let me just go ahead and switch these to candles. So what's the Holy Grail? The Holy Grail is an outside followed by an inside bar. It's a very rare pattern. You can see the last time we had a Holy Grail for Apple was back here on August 10th, 2021, which led to a big rally in the coming days. We even had one back here, which was a massive rally, and this one was a little bit of chop. This one here, nice little rally and then into a decline. So we have the pattern, okay? So what we do now here, guys, we have the pattern. Let me just double click here, is we have all of these tools. Okay, so let me show you these tools, okay, because it's really, really crazy. So the first thing we want to do, let's go ahead and look at insider trading on Apple. Okay, so I'm just going to make this bigger right here. So insider trading on Apple. So who's been trading Apple? What's been going on? Okay, so this was the last recent big sale was May 4th, sale of 4 million shares. I don't even know who this person is, but we can click on this and we can see all of their transactions, and you can see it's been all sales and options here as well. But what's cool about this is we can click on this and it'll take us to the actual SEC filing. I found this actually insane. So we could see them filing here. So Adams, Catherine, I don't even know who this person is. So they're an officer, SVP, and secretary selling shares here. And that's kind of interesting, because what we're going to try to do here is we have our Holy Grail pattern. We know that we know that Apple wants to make a move, but we don't necessarily know which direction. And normally what we do is we take triggers, which we'll continue to do. But I really want to go ahead and look at this to see if we can maybe get a potential edge. Okay, so here we go. So that was, all red really on the insider trading, no buying happening. Let's go ahead and look at seasonality now, which I find this very, very cool as well. So we're going to go ahead and look at seasonality for Apple. Let's pull it all the way back to 2003. And what we're going to do here is, so right now we're in the week 30. Okay. So generally in week 30 here, 60% of the time, we're going to close positive. But if you notice, guys, generally for week 31 and 32, which are coming up next, we close red. That's very, very interesting to me. That's very, very interesting to me here to see this trend over time. And you can see here, guys, with these dots are the actual data. So we've had some outliers. You could see here one time where we were 14% up. Obviously, that's probably way, way back in the day. But this is really interesting to me here. So far, those extra indicators are leaning towards the bearish side. And for me, what that tells me as a trader is, do I need to be fading this intraday? Is that what I should be doing? We can also look at the analyst estimates, and everything is a buy. Every single thing is a buy right now. Let's look at Citigroup here. Okay, so let's just look at Citigroup here. So they have the buy. Everything's been a buy. I want to just look at Citigroup itself. So I'll go here into the analyst estimates and I'll go to my favorites. Let's see. So these are all Citigroup's analysis, right? So they were saying buy down here. That was a bad signal, bad signal here, good signal, good signal, good signal, good signal, bad signal, good. So these guys have been pretty much 50% accurate. The last time we had this relative big drop, they had a buy. Um, so I would say they're pretty 50-50. So no big correlation there, nothing to really look at. And then we have this, Dan shared with me his checklist. So if we look at this checklist here, guys, this is pretty cool. I wonder how I can make this a little bit bigger. But anyways, so he looks at time frame continuity here. So the monthly is green, the weekly is green, the daily is green. Everything is green right now on Apple for the current month. And it does have earnings coming up, obviously. So that's something we need to watch. But I really did find these tools extremely insightful, especially the insider trading part right here and the seasonality. And what I want to do is, obviously at Trading Wars, guys, we play the bars. Okay, we break above, we go long, break below, we go short. We keep it simple. We have triggers, we play the triggers, right? But I want to see if there's actually an edge with this information at all. Okay, so I have it on the chart now. Hit me with a 1 if you think that's a good idea. I want to see if this actually, if there's something else that I could use here to give me an edge. And what I like the most is the seasonality. And when I look at seasonality, what I like to see here is just like kind of trends, some trends. And what I normally see here is on red. So this is right here, guys. This is on the weekly, right? So on red weeks, right? Generally they last, two red weeks in a row, mainly, right? So here we go, and then we bounce back. Red week here, bounce back. Red week, bounce back. Red week, bounce back. Red week over here, bounce back. Red week, bounce back. So now when I look at the chart, let's go to the weekly on Apple here. We can see, okay, try to correlate that to this year. Okay, so red week, bounce back. Red week, bounce back. 3 red weeks, bounce back. Right? Red. I guess that was potentially red as well. Red. So this is pretty much like a crazy situation, right? Having this much red. And that's also one of the reasons why I went long on the NQ, because I would from trading for a long time, I don't really look at seasonality, but I just know that in my head, that from trading for so long, that if you have multiple weeks of the same color, right? Generally the next week you're going to have the opposite, because that's really where they trap a lot of new traders, right? Is, oh, okay, if the market, so like for example here, 3 weeks green, then the next week they trap them. Same way around the other side. All right, guys. So I think that's pretty cool. I'll be working on it, man, and just seeing where it goes. I wanted to share that with you because I know you guys are interested in stuff like that. So the way you do that here, you go to sidebar, add or remove, and let's just see, maybe we could try one more. Unusual options, let's do that. I don't really look at this at all, so maybe some of you guys know how to do this, but I guess here, if we look here, unusual options, I don't really know how, I don't personally know how to read this because I don't really put too much stake into this, but I can figure it out. But yeah, so here we go. You even have that for those who use options. You could see here the 19th of July, pretty much green, right? Pretty much green, lots of green. So more calls here than puts. So that could be something as well. And maybe looking into the close, right? So this is the close. So this is all at the close. You could see all calls going into the close. 19th of January, 2024. Those are interesting. Those are long. These ones are long dated out, and these ones are closer. Interesting, guys. I don't really look at that too much, but I would love to just learn a little bit more about it, and I thought you guys would be interested as well. All right, guys. So that's Trendspider. They're doing cool things. They're gonna add bots where you can trade live off the chart. Use code TWZ30 at checkout if you want to go ahead and get my scanners and get my setup. Let's go back here to the market scan right here, and let's just wrap up and see if we have any other picks. So let me go ahead actually and do it this way. So we had Apple on the Holy Grail. What else do we have? Microsoft on the Holy Grail. You know, this is a very powerful setup going into the end of the week. We had an outside bar followed by an inside. Remember, SPY is not a holy grail. SPY has already gone. SPY has already broken out, which is really, really interesting to show that tech is lagging a bit. And remember, Netflix just had good earnings. So that's definitely going to play a big part into the rest of the week. Let's go for the Nirvana and see if there's anything on the Nirvana. So nothing. Okay. All right. So I'm going to post the picks right after this. Pretty cool platform here, guys. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this stream. I enjoyed being with you. I appreciate your time. Green day today. Let's come back and hit it hard tomorrow. Just keep the momentum going and going and going and going. All right, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Please do leave a comment on the way out. You have a chance to win the giveaway we do every single Sunday. Guys, check me out at tradingwars.com. As I said, 100 trade challenge. Make sure you're getting this done. I know a lot of people are kind of halfway through this. So get this done, guys, and we're going to work on ways to make you better as traders. Trading Wars FAQ, check this out. My fib stuff are in here as well. People ask me this all the time. So we have it here. Trading Wars Golden Indicators. Let me go ahead and link that. They're in Trendspider already, but if you want to add them to TradingView, then you have to add them through this. Otherwise than that, have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow live and ready to rock and roll. Thank you very much. Take care.